All right, so this is another installment of Lexington Learns, and I have with me Rebecca Moore from In a Nutshell Consulting. Rebecca is also on our board of directors, so I've had the pleasure of working with her for a couple months in that capacity now too. But today I was going to ask you more about the consulting business and how that's been going. What kind of clients do you typically work with in your business?
Yes, I work with two different kinds of clients. One is an early entrepreneur who is basically figuring out her business and her mission and figuring out her pitch so that she can raise angel or venture money. And then the other is typically a solopreneur or a small business owner that is often they're in the service sector. It could be anything from a coach or a advisor or a yoga instructor or many different types of businesses. I have artists, people who run retreats, all different types of businesses. Also ed tech businesses, nonprofits. And the common theme is that I work with female founders, and that's just that's my love because that's where I started out of business school, and I just want to give back and help mentor and advise fellow female founders.
Oh, I think that's wonderful, and I may have said this before, but I wish I had met you when I had my company and was founding that, because I definitely could have used help with exactly those kinds of things. So typically, before, like, pre-pandemic, what kinds of issues would your clients bring to you? What were their challenges?
Well, the common thread is that they usually come to me when they feel stuck about something. So either they're not getting the traction they want to get. And it could be a multitude of things that are that need to be addressed. It can be mindset, it can be messaging, marketing strategy, it can be pricing or just sales. And so really I guide them, ask a lot of questions and guide them so that they can come to better conclusions and really level up their business.
Okay. So how has that changed? I imagine leveling up is not as much anybody's goal at the moment as staying afloat. How have you seen that change with all the restrictions of the pandemic?
So this will be no surprise. It really depends. If the business owner had a bricks and mortar business, a lot has changed, and it's been it's been a major shift. So I should mention too, I also run brainstorming sessions with founders and masterminds and small group discussions
Okay.
with founders. So I've had a couple that have they have boutiques. They're some fashion designers and also boutique owners, and they have had to completely shift. And when some of them didn't even have an online presence, and they just had to completely shift everything. And even while people were furloughed or laid off, they basically shifted to online. So now they're doing both.
Right.
So that's and some of them had to completely change their product line. They're selling clothing, and now they're making masks. Lots of different. And then those that are in the online space or ed tech, not that much has changed. Although I shouldn't say that. The education field, it's
My kids would tell you it's changed.
that actually presents a really huge opportunity. And the question becomes, okay, how are we going to restructure this product so that it takes advantage of some of the needs that are out there right now that have completely changed in the past 4 months?
Right.
I've worked with college consultants. Wow. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are paddling fast to kind of keep up with all of the changes so that they can advise their clients. And
Right.
so it's just a lot of challenges. And anyone who had in-person events obviously has had to switch to Zoom and all sorts of other web-based event management platform.
Right. Were you working with clients remotely on Zoom to begin with?
Yeah, I've been working for years on Zoom. So
Okay. So
yeah,
that part of it wasn't a big shift for you or your clients.
no, although I think Zoom got a little busy and it was like a little for a while there, but no, I mean, Zoom has been great. I'm very used to Zoom. And so, yeah, some of that I had to teach some clients how to, they didn't really have a need to communicate to their in-person customers
Hmm.
online. And so I had to teach them how to do that. So,
Yeah. Well, communication is very different in this medium.
yeah.
So, for example, you and I have never met in person.
Well, I feel like we have.
I know, and it does feel that way. So it's a good placeholder, but it isn't the same. It isn't the same as when you do your brainstorming sessions, for example, are those have they always been online, or did you used to get into a room together?
No, we did get in a room together. I would have small groups. And in fact, usually when I'm doing one-on-ones with clients, I always required a face-to-face as for the first meeting, just to make sure that we were compatible and,
Sure.
just to get the energy. But now, everything is online. So it's just
Everything is online.
direction. I actually, I've just I just spent the past couple weeks. I usually do workshops and things like that, and I've decided to do a course, so it's half and half. So the learning part I actually videotaped in advance so that people can listen to it on their own, and so all the instruction part is still from me, but it's you don't want to. I don't want founders to have to spend their busy day in the middle of the day on another Zoom webinar. So the Zoom part is the discussion, the real meat, nuts and bolts of the course, where you really ask questions, and that's where you really grow collaboratively.
The really interactive part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense. Do you think your clients, because they are primarily they're small, right? They employ 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people.
yeah.
Do you think they have a different narrative than the economy as a whole right now?
Um,
Or do you think they have the same challenges that everybody's facing?
Again, it depends if you're online or off, but I think the I want to separate Main Street USA from online business
Hmm.
owners, where the online business owners definitely have an advantage right now. And so the challenge for the online business owners is that people may be a little bit more price sensitive, or just there's so much noise online now that
Yeah.
a lot more competition in terms of getting anybody's attention. And then the bricks and mortar, that's what I'm really truly concerned about right now.
Right.
How do we help them as a society, and help them rethink their business
Right.
in imaginative ways, so that they're generating the revenue that they were pre-COVID.
Right. Right. Exactly. I imagine, so there's like some kind of truck going by my house. I apologize. I imagine it's very noisy. Um, so how has your outlook changed? You personally and your clients.
Well, one of the things I teach is mindset.
Yeah.
So we've all been working really hard. I mean, this is an amazing country, and there's a lot of opportunity here. It's just rethinking business as we used to know it to a new model, and being very innovative. So I am very hopeful. And yeah, I think, unfortunately, just like when the internet, I was involved with, I had my first startup at the very nascent stages of the internet.
Okay.
It was a .com company, and at that time too, there are many parallels. It's a different scenario, but there are a lot of businesses that just were no longer relevant, and they unfortunately went under. And then a lot of new opportunities came up that were phenomenal. So I'm hoping that everybody is spending time looking at some of these new opportunities and how can their existing business make some adjustments
Mhm.
so that they're relevant moving forward.
That actually, that's a question that I was going to ask you. Have you seen some bright spots or opportunities?
Um, yeah, so, well, for me personally, a
Mhm.
bright spot is that I had procrastinating doing some things that I don't enjoy quite as much, some back end, automation and things like that. So I have hired a lot of, I've invested you know, in making improvements in my systems and processes, which is a very bright spot.
That's good. No, that's good.
um, and yeah, I think people are just getting really, I think they're getting innovative. I think there's a lot of opportunity for young people who are so comfortable online and on the camera. And
Yeah.
um, so I do think that there are a lot of bright spots, and it's just not, they're not all clear yet.
That makes sense.
I mean, just the way you and I are talking, the fact that we can connect, we're not geographically, we're not very far apart right now, but we can connect internationally. I mean, you can really talk to anybody and have large groups of people communicating and learning and growing together and helping each other out. So
That has been my experience too. People have asked me, since this is, I think, my third month now in this job, and people have asked what it's been like joining this organization in the middle of the pandemic. And, again, not even meeting my board in person, but I agree totally. The fact that we get on Zoom meetings and, everybody's got their box, and you can talk to 18 people at once, and it feels oddly less distant than sitting around a conference table to me.
yeah,
And when you're sitting around a conference table, there's physical distance, um, but there's also kind of there's mental space between you and other people. But when you're all on a screen together, you somehow seem even closer than when you're sitting side by side.
yeah. Actually, another thing that I have discovered too, and this is in kind of the fundraising venture capital arena, one of the crazy things is that you could spend 24 hours a day watching free webinars by really well-known people, and accessibility of some of these incredible leaders is insane. And
Yeah.
so you can get some really good, if you know where to look, you can actually have access to some pretty key players.
Yeah.
The challenge is where you cut it off, and like, okay, I'm only allowing myself an hour a day of of inspiration, and then I got to get back to work and take massive action. So
That's something that I struggle with. I know sometimes I feel like I will, like you said about the, things that you prefer doing and things that you prefer less to do. Educating myself is always one of those things. It's like, oh, well, I could spend infinite time on this, and I probably should, because it's educating me. And so obviously it's getting me, better and closer and more inspired. And, but you're right. The challenge is figuring out when to say, nope, now it's time to do. It's time to stop listening and start doing.
yeah. Mhm.
So what would you say is coming for, what are you concentrating on in the longer term for your clients? When we look 6 months or a year down the road, and we're hoping that things are more stabilized, if not normal. I mean, people call it the new normal. But what do you see, what do people need to start preparing now so they'll be ready for that scenario?
Well, I think one of the things is, even though we're all so far away from each other, to make sure, I mean, I think the number one thing is stay close to your clients. Keep in touch with them. Know that even though you're physically not available, that you're there to serve them, and that because people still need services, they need products and services. So they need to know that you're willing to be flexible about the new, the new rules, new rules of the game.
Keep changing every week.
We'll do the best are the ones that they're not just stuck on the way things were. They're moving forward. They're being nimble. They're taking into account safety. Yep. And hygiene. And I mean, it sounds so obvious, but it's like, wow, that is actually now, that's a key business factor.
Right.
And it's an ongoing expense. It's just, that's going to be the way it is. So,
but it's a selling point, as you said. It's a differentiation point it's something that companies can point to and say, we're different because we're doing this to keep you safe.
Yeah. I mean, I went into a boutique the other day and everything was very clearly labeled out. And it's like, the hand sanitizer was there, and I mean, but it was delightful the way it was presented, and you didn't feel like crying when you went in there because you had a face mask, and it's just not the way it used to be. It was they dealt with it well. And I love that the restaurants are opening up outside, and they're just, it's a new way of thinking.
It's adaptation. Yeah.
For some time. It's not going to be one and done in September.
Right. Right.
Yeah, what else? And also I think the other thing that is critical now, that we all, it's so front and center to all of us right now, is the importance of community. When we are able to get together, it's so much more appreciated and valuable. And so to create those opportunities that are within the guidelines, but safe.
Yeah, there is a real hunger for back to person-to-person connection, but there's also a lot of caution, I think, that people feel. So it's a push and a pull at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me, and I hope that your clients all stay afloat, and I know that you are guiding them really well. Having had many conversations with you now, I know you to be a very smart and capable and helpful, compassionate person. So I know that your clients are in really good hands.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks for the opportunity to chat this afternoon, and hope you have a wonderful 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, thank you. I hope everyone will. Again, like everything else, it'll be a little different than it has been, but that's okay. We'll enjoy our backyards.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca.